Okay, so
So hot.
let's see if we're live. We should be, and I believe that we are. Alrighty, how's it going? Mets and overall base.
Good.
All right, we're good. Are we good?
Are we live? I don't know. Rex slurping some hot, thick news.
There we go. All right, how's it going, Mets and overall baseball fans? Appreciate you guys chiming in. As you'll see through the podcast, if Rec isn't starting the show, either slurping his food or his drink, then we're doing something wrong. We appreciate all you guys being in here. We have a lot to get into as the podcast is continuing. We are going to be changing up a name, logo. We're going to be starting our own separate YouTube channel, which will be going up live in the coming weeks, and we have a lot of big announcements to get into, but we appreciate everyone chiming in. Myself, Wardy, you guys know me here on YouTube. That is Anthony Recker. You know him. That is Joe Sorrell. I hope you know him too. And yeah, Mets season starts tomorrow, so we're doing a complete deep dive, a preview and prediction show. A lot to get into. Again, we appreciate everyone being in here. And guys, also for all our live viewers and people on replay, let us know how the audio is. It might not sound great today. We've been working tirelessly to get all the new graphics and stuff, and doing so the audio might not be perfect, so we apologize, but hopefully it will be better next time if it isn't, say, perfect today. But Rec, Joe, how are you gentlemen doing tonight?
I mean, opening day is tomorrow. I couldn't be doing any better. You know, I told myself I wasn't going to get too worked up and too excited for the season once Diaz got hurt, that I was going to temper my expectations. But here we are. We're one sleep away, and I just can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either. What about you, Rec?
I'm eating drunken noodle, so I'm doing fantastic right now.
There you go.
I mean, does it get better than drunken noodle? I don't know if it does. Although the first dish that I had, this is my second. First dish that I had was probably a little better too. So, yeah.
All right.
I do love drunk nudes. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
See, I've never had.
I mean, what's not to like?
Especially when they're hot and thick.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Just the way that I wanted to start the show. It's okay. Someone said can't hear Joe and Joe's mic is low. I don't know, Joe. Do you think there's a possibility if you could hold the mic a little bit closer to your mouth?
I mean, what do you want me to do? Like deep
Put it in
throat
there.
it?
Yeah.
I'm sure this doesn't sound good
That's
for
better.
anyone. Yeah.
No, that's
It might.
I thought
Let's ask the live show right now, guys. Let us know in the comments. Does that sound any better or worse?
They're saying Rex volume is too. You see, Wardy, when you use a new software, this is what happens.
I know. Again, my
you
apologies.
try new shit the night before opening day, and this stuff happens.
I know.
That's why you always have a test run. This is our test run. It's just a test run.
This is our test run.
Good.
It's fine.
Episode 51. It's our test run.
Test
Dude,
run.
what?
No,
Dude,
not episode
no,
51.
we're not. We're
This is
not.
episode 1.
Yeah, we're episode one.
Episode 1.
Have we done together?
Let's
True.
go, guy. Episode 1. What are you doing?
All right, but how many
Star
shows
Wars,
have we
episode
done together?
1.
I mean, we've done what 50 plus shows together now.
Well, I didn't join on until I don't know what show, but I wasn't a part of the first few. I know that.
All right. They said no better. Fantastic. All right. Joe and Tyler sounds good. Joe sounds far. I think he meant to say Rec and Tyler sounds good, but Joe sounds far. Does Rec sound okay? How does Rec sound, everybody? And again, apologies for people that are again.
Listen to me eat.
Just listen to me. His mic isn't off. It's just it's because of the software that we're using. We're dabbling with it. Rec and Joe are very low. Fan-effing-tastic.
Speaking of Rec eating, by the way, all right, and enough with this mic nonsense. Speaking of Rec eating, can we talk about the new food at Citi Field before we preview the actual team and the actual season?
What do we got? What's our new food?
Honey fried chicken on a glazed donut bun.
Honey fried chicken on a glazed donut bun. That's a little bit too much for me.
I'm actually excited. I'm really excited.
But I might.
I'm really excited to try that. That's gonna.
Yeah, I'm gonna go all in. They also got Pig Beach Barbecue is back.
They have what?
Pig Beach Barbecue. They used to be just in the Promenade Club or.
I don't eat pig anymore. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me.
You don't like
I stay away from pig. Well, okay. So I'm weird. I've started thinking about what I eat and how I consume. I like to try to stay in shape and I like to eat healthy.
Brag. All right.
If I'm gonna everyone tries to, right? Or at least a lot of people do. If I'm gonna eat something, why would I eat an animal that looks the way a pig does and rolls around in the mud and
That's what everyone that's anti-pig says. It's all the same.
I just don't get it. Why would I eat that?
I get it.
Why would I eat that? I would rather, and this is the hunting side of me. I grew up a hunter as a kid. My dad, big hunter. I had a piece. I don't have it behind me anymore. I had a fishing thing that I was gonna hang. It was my grandfather's. Anyway, I grew up shooting deer and geese and turkey and like, like we did all kinds of stuff, right? If I'm gonna eat something, like I'd much rather eat that. My father-in-law, big hunter, when he goes out to where's he go, Utah or Montana, wherever he does all of it. Like he'll shoot like an antelope and like,
Ooh.
dude, the meat is phenomenal. Like if you've had that and then you're like just willing to go back to a cow, it doesn't make sense. Like you're missing out. So that's the way I see it. I'd rather eat something else. I mean, this is chicken. Like I'll eat chicken because it's chicken.
Right.
Who doesn't
Healthy,
eat
gets
chicken?
the job done. But venison.
I got some salmon in the fridge. I'm gonna eat some salmon late. At some point. I like halibut. I just like to dabble, but I stay away from the pig. The pig just doesn't do it for me. I try to stay away from the cow too, to be honest with you, because that doesn't really make sense either. They don't do anything. They stand around. You are what you eat.
They stand around.
That was a very like Italian side of Rec. They don't do anything. They stand around. With the voice crack in there. That was good.
That was good.
I got you guys.
That's
Come over to
all
House
valid.
Spinoza anytime you want. That's my Italian side. Spinoza.
Joe Smith in the chat says this guy is nuts. That's
Welcome to the pod.
welcome to the
Joe
pod.
Smith. The former Met, the submariner.
True.
Probably not.
World may never know. Well, again,
Joe Smith, was he lefty submariner?
No, righty.
I think there were two of them. I think there was a lefty one and a righty one.
both with the
think
same name.
The Angels, I want to say, back in the day,
That was
might have
the
been a
righty
lefty.
who started
Submariner.
the Mets.
Who's the one with the Guardians then? Well, Indians back then.
Is it the same guy?
We'll have to look it up.
Isn't Joe Smith married to a famous sideline reporter?
You've already lost me. I have no idea. I don't do
I
that.
think that Joe Smith, who started his career with the Mets, who had a very long career as a relief pitcher, was married to, is it Allie LaForce? Or is it a different, like, basketball sideline reporter? I keep looking down to the chat to see if anyone is...
Hold on, I'm just checking the
And of all people, Joe Smith is now in the comments complaining. We're literally talking about you and your name, and you're complaining about what we're talking about. Freaking disgraziato.
That's some Italian for you. Let's see. Okay.
No, I was just seeing if there was any way to try to make the audio better than what it is, but I don't know if I can. Yeah, I know.
You're right. It is all the same Joe Smith, huh?
Is he married to Allie LaForce?
I have no idea.
I wasn't
Joe,
sure.
I'm on his stats page. Come on, man. Like, what do you
Hey, I
think
thought you were on
this is?
Wikipedia.
I'm not on Entertainment Tonight, Joe. Like, that's not what I do.
This show's a bit of a mix. It's like the Food Network mixed with SNY mixed with like TMZ.
And with the
It's
audio
definitely the
completely
Food
on
Network.
different
It's
levels. It's
definitely the Food
perfect. Yeah. So again, apologies in advance, everybody, if the audio isn't great today for Rec and Joe. Hopefully next time that we go around after the Marlins
Apologies in
series, it'll be
advance for
better.
Eating on the show.
Yeah. So again, we're all over the place today, but we just want to show you, give you guys a sneak peek, a look on what the show's expected to look like this year, updating the graphics. We're going to be having a lot of fun. We have some big announcements that we will be getting into when the timing is right. Not right yet, but it will be. So yeah, just make sure you're following along here on YouTube. And once we have a new name, a new logo in place, we will again be starting a separate YouTube channel. We'll eventually be back on all our audio platforms. So stay tuned for it all. Make sure to follow us on the usual socials as you see down below. But let's get into this, guys, because the season starts tomorrow, right? So I figured let's go briefly with the Mets and their schedule this year, because this is going to go in hand with some things. We have the new rules now. The Mets can't face their divisional rivals more than 13 times this year, rather. So it's going to be different than what we've seen in years past. And I'm curious to know what you guys think regarding the schedule and how it's going to impact them. But roster as a whole, let's just start there, because we haven't talked in a couple weeks together. I want to know, what are your thoughts on, especially, the Beatty demotion, no current prospects starting the year on the roster. How do you guys feel? Because the Mets' current roster as is the following for everybody watching right now. It's Max Scherzer, David Pearson starting as the number 2 because they want JV lined up to pitch the home opener for the Mets, which is after their first 2 series. Yeah, I'm about to right now. Yeah, we're going
through it all.
We're going through it all.
Going through it all.
Yeah.
People can Google it. Please don't sit here and read 26 names.
Oh, I can do it fast. No? You don't want me to? You ruined it. The bullpen. I mean, can I at least acknowledge the bullpen? That's like the only thing that's really different.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So especially with Diaz out, which we haven't discussed together, is Adam Ottavino, David Robertson, Drew Smith, Brooks Raley, Tommy Hunter, John Curtis, Steven Nagosic, and Dennis Santana, who they picked up off waivers just a couple weeks ago. And bench-wise, the only real difference is that Darren Ruff is no longer part of the team, was DFA'd. Timmy LaCastro took over that final bench spot after having a great spring, great speedster. Jankowski 2.0 cracking this roster, and that's quite literally it. And Tommy Pham that we all knew about. So
Castro's way better than Travis Jankowski.
Yeah, no, I'm saying Jankowski 2.0 in the sense of he's that fourth outfielder, speedster type. You know, I don't expect him to be getting consistent at bats. Not that, you know, he would not perform well in those positions, but again, he batted 300 in spring. Not that it means much, but I was very impressed with what I saw with Castro so far in a Mets uniform. So starting off with you,
Joe.
Joe.
I batted 300 at least 1 or 2 springs. So yeah,
we'll have to. Joe,
You guys like me pitching on the other team, so I mean, you know.
Joe, let's
literally.
Joe, let's start with you. What's your overall season preview for this team with the roster configuration, the schedule, you know, and also if you have any thoughts about all the kids being sent down? And be loud too, because again, the audio shit,
I'm
unfortunately.
Gonna be loud. I'm gonna project here for our buddy Grant in the YouTube chat. Shout out to Grant and all his Mets page. First reaction is I really wanted Brett Beatty to make this team, and I'll admit, you know, obviously we've discussed this on past episodes. I'm a little higher on Mauricio personally than Beatty, but Mauricio hasn't really been up yet. He hasn't done anything at this level yet. Beatty's been up, you know, for the better part of 2 months already, and he had a great spring, and his glove improved, and he was hitting the cover off the ball, and Escobar wasn't. Really wanted Beatty to make this roster. So I don't love that he's starting in AAA. Mauricio knew he would start in AAA. Alvarez had such a bad spring, he needed to start in AAA. But I really wanted Beatty on this roster. As far as, you know, new pieces coming into the year, it's just the starting pitching just really excites me. You know, even though the pitching as a whole takes a huge hit with the Diaz injury, the starting pitching is just as good as, if not better than any other team in the league. So
I got excited. Sorry, Joe. I got excited.
What happened? Yeah, I saw that.
I went 6 to midnight. You got me excited.
I mentioned Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander in the same rotation, and Rex like,
no, it was just because you said it. It was your voice that really got me going. Yeah,
you've heard my voice so many damn times today, Rex. I can't believe it's the first time I got you going today.
Who said it was?
Maybe it's not the first. But yeah, this pitching going into the year, I mean, the starting pitching, find me a better rotation. You know, even with Quintana being down for the first few months, I still think it's the best rotation out there.
Ooh, bold take. I like it, though. What about you, Rec? How are you feeling heading into the season?
I feel really good about this team. You know, I think they're in a better place than they've been in years, not because of the 26-man roster. I honestly, like, it's good. It's very similar to last year. It's actually just because of those pieces that you're talking about that we sent down that we're actually debating. For once, this team has the type of players that in AAA that we can debate should they have made the team. That hasn't happened since when? Like, when I was with this team, the minor league system, at least from a position player standpoint, was not good, right? Yeah. They were bringing up pitchers, no position players at all. Now we've got position players. Should there and would it be nice to have a few more pitchers in the minor leagues that are on their way up? Yes, I think there are. We're just waiting for those guys to kind of take those next steps, the Dom Hamels of the world, right? And get that opportunity to really be showcased. But essentially, I really like where this team is at as far as the internal depth. I think, to me, I've always been a big proponent of that. That's the part of the game that kind of gets me going, when you can bring up your own talent and have that fill out your roster at times throughout the year, and then accentuate it come playoff time. Like, that is what gets you going. And I see that with this team. I see by the end of the year, Alvarez, Mauricio, and Beatty all being a part of this lineup, all being a big part of this lineup, and all contributing significantly to this team to help them get further and deeper into the playoffs than they have since I was around, which is a really long time ago now.
So you just said that you expect all three of those prospects to have impact on the team this year.
100%.
Really? Okay, so here, let's get into a fun question game.
I expect them all to be starting more often than not. I'm not going to say starting full time because I believe in platooning and finding matchups, and I love that. Beatty will be the third baseman for the first playoff game this year.
Okay.
Mauricio will be a starting outfielder. Maybe not the first playoff game. I'll let that kind of work its way out. He will be a starting outfielder for this team in playoff games. And Alvarez will at least be a DH if he's not ready defensively as a catcher, which I'm not sure he will be. But he will at least be a DH. And I think all three give them an opportunity to be better come September than they are right now.
So
Yeah, I mean, right now, who's the Mets DH against lefties? Is Vogelback going to get?
Yeah, and this is where Vientos comes into play. What's your thoughts on Vientos, especially Rec?
Alvarez. I think Alvarez is the guy.
I don't think the Mets are going to DH Alvarez much, though.
You can let Vientos get some run at it first, right? Like if Alvarez isn't ready to catch yet, and they want him to be, they need him to get that time and to continue to develop. You let Vientos get that run, right? And for now, Escobar can be that guy. He doesn't have to start at third base. Like you can move pieces around, right? Then you've got Canna, who doesn't have to start in the outfield. That's why you have Timmy LeCastro. Like they have pieces that they can move around this puzzle to make it so that, yes, we can put out a better lineup against righties, a better lineup against lefties, bring in the right bullpen piece, whatever it is. I'm a little upset. I heard the news about Montez de Oca. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
That's disappointing. I think that stinks for all of us. We love that arm. That when he comes out of the
Electric.
bullpen, he looked really good. Could have been a nice piece for them. Obviously, not going to be around this year. But
he could be back. There's a solid chance he'll be back in the second half of the season, but we'll see.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's only 2 months, right?
Yeah, I mean they're
months?
expecting him to maybe be back around July.
Right.
So
yeah, my fault. But it's like I'm excited about the fact that this team has those types of pieces because they haven't had that in a really long time. And I just think, to me, it's going to make a huge difference for them. There's a reason they haven't been making big trades at trade deadlines, right? It was to get to this moment, to this point in time. So now, yes, say some of them don't perform, or maybe they don't need them necessarily at the trade deadline, or it's just looking like there might be a little bit of a surplus, like a Ronnie Mauricio, who I don't really want them to trade. I could see one of them moving, but at the same time, they are going to be ready to help this team, and I think they will come September and into October.
Yeah, no, I mean, that gets me excited as a fan because I basically went on my own little rant when we first initially found out that both Vientos and Beatty weren't making this roster. And for at least one of them, it was understandable. Vientos is a guy that, should he be on the Mets this year, I expect him to be in that platoon role. But if the Mets want to make sure that he's getting everyday playing time right now, I get why they start him in AAA. But Beatty, and again, I understand there's these arguments, Rec, you said it yourself, spring training means like nothing to you, right? But for me, at least, when it comes to guys competing for spots, especially taking full advantage of other guys being gone, like Escobar being away in the WBC, and Beatty did everything in his power to prove why he deserves at least a strong chance to start the year as a starting third baseman on this roster. So that really, perplexed me. I can understand where the Mets are coming from.
It doesn't matter, though, because what this team needs to do is hold on to the depth that they've created. They let one piece go in Ruff, which I know you guys are fine with. I get it. He didn't perform last year. He didn't look good in the spring training. So I'm not arguing it. I just like Darren as a person. Great guy. But they want to hold on to as much depth as possible. So you do send your prospects down. Like there's service manipulation, but then there's also just being intelligent. Like they have the pieces at the big league level that are still going to be able to perform at the big league level. Why would you unnecessarily diminish that depth? And I'm gonna reference the Braves right now. So a lot of people are like, whoa, you sent Vaughn Grissom down? What are you doing? Why'd you do that? He's looked good at short this year. Well, guess what? Adrianza and Arcia, you weren't going to be able to keep both on your roster if Vaughn Grissom makes the team.
True.
Now you get to keep both those guys and send Grissom down and bring him up when someone gets hurt, because someone will. Mets have the same nice problem to have, right? It's a great problem. Oh, we can keep all these prospects. We can keep all the depth that we have, and we can option guys. That's why they were looking for so many optionable pieces for the bullpen, so that they can move pieces back
exactly,
and forth, and they'll have that internal depth, and that's what they're doing. It has nothing to do with the fact that these guys performed or didn't perform. I mean, Alvarez, maybe you could say, but it's really just about that depth.
You know,
And
it's
not for nothing.
oh, go ahead.
I mean, if Eddie Escobar goes out there and starts tearing it up in April and May, I know what we saw last year was really disappointing. But this guy can still go out there and turn in a 25 home run season, maybe hit 270. Like, if he starts doing that, you're going to be happy that we didn't get rid of him and make Beatty the opening day starter right off the bat and just, cut ties with Eddie and gets picked up somewhere else and goes and does that. Now, if he doesn't, he's going to have a much shorter leash than he did a year ago. But I think it's at least worth, keeping Beatty in AAA for April, seeing how Eddie starts, giving him a 6 to 8 week leash. And then if you need Beatty by June 1st, I have a feeling he'll be ready.
So two-parter here. One, regarding, the Mets seeking out especially guys with options, mainly on the reliever front. That's what actually made it a little bit more of a head scratcher for me, why they got Dennis Santana off waivers from the Twins. But in reality, he did crack this bullpen, so clearly they see something in him. And I don't know if you guys know much about Dennis Santana, but it gives me straight up Miguel Castro vibes. He has an electric arm, touches high 90s, if not triple digits on the gun, has struggled with his control, as had Castro, of course, during his time with the Mets and throughout his career. But similarities there. I think he could be a little bit of a diamond in the rough pick for them if Hefner gets him right. But going from that also to Beatty, I do know that if the Mets wait until like around June 6th or something like that, then they get to, save a year for him when it comes to service time. So is this something where the Mets are doing any service time manipulation here? Rec, how do you feel about that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think, like I said, and that's why I was saying it, there's a time and place to talk about that.
Yeah.
This isn't it. This just makes logical business sense. I'm trying to, and I don't mean that in a monetary sense. I'm talking about a business sense of formulating a 162 game team that you feel like you have the best shot to go out there and win as consistently as possible. And that's having that depth, holding on to that depth, right? So Chris Bryant looks like an absolute MVP, all-star, whatever you want to call it, for the Cubs back in 15 when they held him down. That makes sense as service time manipulation when they didn't, and they kept him down there for 10 days and then called him up. This is not that. This is totally different. This is not a team trying to manipulate anything. This is just the team, and they've shown, the Mets have shown they are willing to start you if you make sense for the overall roster construction. They'll start you in the big leagues day one. They have no problem doing it. Look at Pete Alonso.
Yeah, I was just going to say
this
that.
was under a different regime, but still, like, same idea. And under Steve Cohen and this front office, they are in win now mode. They are not trying to manipulate any contracts or try to hold on to every dollar they can. That's not in their cards. They're trying to win, and that's all they care about.
And look, if the Wilpons went out and they were known for being cheap and trying to do every inch and every ounce of manipulation as they could, if they listened to the fan base and saw the writing on the wall and started Alonso opening day, Steve Cohen would do the same.
Yeah, no, beautifully said. And before we get on to our next topic, I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone here in the live chat. Greatly appreciate you guys. Dave, who's an OG follower of ours and OG follower of mine, thank you so much for the donation, Dave. Appreciate you. He says, Murphy making comeback with the Long Island Ducks. Let's talk about that just for a brief second. For those that don't know, we did have Daniel Murphy on the show a couple months ago, right around Old Timers Day, in which he shared his thoughts and opinions about that, partaking in it. So, Rec, I got to ask, what was your initial reaction to seeing that he signed with the Long Island Ducks? And two, what do you think Murph has left in the tank? What's going on here?
I text him as soon as I saw it. I sent him the tweet, and I was like, dude, what's going on? I thought he's been sending me videos of him hitting lately. We've been talking about hitting lately.
Okay.
And then he up and like, I see this, and I immediately text him. I'm like, dude, what's going on? What's the idea here? He's like, he said he's been swinging for the last several months. Again, like I said, he's been sending me videos. It's hilarious. He's been going down that rabbit hole of trying to get better, even though, he was done playing at the time, and he was watching videos of Hank Aaron, videos of Babe Ruth, videos of Ted Williams, videos, like all these videos. And then now he gets on the field because he wants to try it, starts trying it. It feels really good. And he gets the itch, right? Like, there's something I did when I stopped playing because I knew I would want to come back. And I have. There have been times throughout my retired career where I'm like, I could go back and play. I want to go back and play. But I stopped hitting. Like, I stopped playing because I knew if I kept doing it, like it's like having back in the day, like when I was in high school, college, I would have an ex-girlfriend, right? If I called her again, I would want to get back with her, right? Like, That's how it works. I don't want that. Like, same thing with baseball. Like, it was like, if I go start hitting again, like, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to want to play baseball. I can't do it. So I haven't. I actually just the other day was just hitting off the tee a little bit with my son just for fun, with him, trying to help him out and stuff.
It
and
feels so
like,
good, doesn't it?
you get the itch. Like, it's that quick. And I'm almost 40 and I'm 5 years out, but that's how it works. And, but yeah, Murph, he's excited. He's just going to go, see what happens. As he called it, I'll read it like he sent it, because he has a way with baseball words that I just, he said, "Thanks, Rick. I started moving the barrel around about 7 months ago and I can't stop." Like, that's how he put it. Because I was congratulating him, for making the decision and doing it. But like, it's just funny how you can get that feel and then all of a sudden just boom, I want back in. And look, hey, maybe he can rake a little bit still, and maybe some team is like, we could use this guy down the stretch. Like, why not?
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if we need another left-handed bat, but hell, I would not say no. I heard he was in Wally Backman's office, obviously, former New York Met World Series champ, manager of the Ducks. And I heard Wally asked him where he wanted to play, and Murph said, "I'll hit third, coach."
That's fantastic. Yeah.
That's the Murph story from college. If those of you who didn't watch that episode, I don't know what episode number it was, but
I don't know
episode.
either. Yeah, whenever
Incredible.
Old Timers Day is when we did that pod last year.
Right.
But if there's my biggest takeaway is that I feel like we have a very valid reason to make sure we hit up a Long Island Ducks game this year. A lot of nice former Mets on that team. I've never been to a Ducks game. I really want.
Ruben.
I know.
Right? Ruben?
Yeah.
It's on the team, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ruben and Murph up the middle. Oh, I don't see Murph playing second anymore. I feel like at his age he'll be playing first.
For the Ducks' sake, I hope Murph isn't playing second. Murph, if you're watching, you know it too.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Got to break that first baseman glove in. That's what I'm hearing right now. All right. Well, with that being said, let's get on to our second topic here, which is season predictions, right? So last year, this Mets team, they won 101 games. They failed short. We all know that story by now. So it's a new season, a very similar roster. And I'll start with my prediction, and then we'll go down the line. I think the Mets are going to top out 95 wins this year, which could have them in first or have them in second for the season. I really do think it's going to be dogfight in the NL East, but I also think, not because of necessarily losing Diaz, but I think regardless of what they do lead up to the trade deadline, this schedule is just far more difficult for this Mets team as it is for every team in baseball. And I think not being able to necessarily beat up on the bottom feeders that you see, especially in the NL East, as much this year that you saw last year, or even the Phillies for that matter. I mean, like, let's be real here. I think that is going to play not necessarily in great hands for the Mets scheduling wise. It's going to impact a lot of teams, and I think naturally it's going to lead to just more losses, maybe even early on, because the Mets do have some big. They have a really early West Coast trip this year. Then they're playing every team at least once, right? So I think really more than anything, the scheduling alone is why I have the Mets with at least 6 wins less than last year. Not to say that they will have a bad season or anything like that. 95 wins is amazing. It's great. But that's just my personal feeling heading into the year. Rec, what's yours?
I'm going to put them, if I have to put a number, I'm going to put them at 94.
Okay.
I'm going to say that, not for the same reasons, though. I actually think the new schedule helps them.
Right?
Interesting.
I like the
Okay.
Marlins. I like the Phillies and Braves. I think they're going to be good. I think less games in their division is a better thing. The Nationals stink. They're going to stink. What is this? But they get to play the American League Central. Yeah, sign me up for that.
True.
Like, outside of the Guardians, I'm good. Like, yeah, the White Sox got a few pitchers and a few guys that can hit, but we saw what that train did last year. It wrecked.
It got wrecked, is what it did.
They should, because that was awful. I had them like winning the World Series last year. So I'm
Who didn't? Who didn't?
They are going to play the AL East. They are going to play the AL West. And I think just generally throughout baseball, there's more competition. I think in the NL, there are at least 11 teams that have a shot at the playoffs this year, which is something I don't think we've been able to say for a long time. And I think in the AL, you could look at it and realistically say there are probably 4 teams in the AL East, maybe 4 in the AL West, and then 1, maybe 2 in the AL Central. But I think there's just more teams competing. So I think it's a more difficult league in general. I don't think you're going to have as many 100-win teams. Plus, I think with the new rules, I not to say that the Mets can't take advantage of them, but I think they're less equipped than other teams. LeCastro's not going to play much, not going to steal a ton of bases. Marte's getting older, not going to steal a ton of bases. Nimmo just doesn't want to run, apparently.
When he did try running, he got hurt last year. So,
Yes. Lindor doesn't really run. There's not going to be a whole lot else going on for them. And so I'm worried about the age of some pitchers, not having Diaz. When I say worried, it's not, I think they're going to be terrible. Obviously, I'm saying they're going to win 94 games, and I think they have a shot at the division with 94 wins. It's just going to be a different league, and I think that brings them down a little bit just on that win total, which isn't a bad thing. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I think that win total is going to sit right between 93 and 96. But Wardy, similarly to Rec, it's for different reasons than you think, because I think the scheduling works to their advantage. I mean, they're not going to go 14-5 against the Phillies again if they play them 19 more times. So I'm okay with playing the Phillies 13 times. The Braves, we were 9-10. I'm okay with playing the Braves 13 times. And you're replacing, those 4 series right there. You're replacing, 12 games against the Braves and Phillies with the Royals, the Tigers, the White Sox, the Minnesota. I'm in heaven with that schedule. So I actually love the schedule. I think where the wins fall off a little bit. And again, 96, I think the whole division is going to fall off a little bit. Maybe not the Phillies, but I think the Mets and Braves, I don't think either of those two teams are going to win 100 games this year.
Agreed.
So
yep.
95, 96 wins might still win you the NL East. I think you're going to have, I think you're going to have 3 teams between 89 and 95 wins.
Okay.
With the Mets, Braves, and Phillies. I think the Braves actually are a 3rd place team this year.
Ooh. Okay.
But the reason that I have the Mets falling down a little bit from 101 is because of Diaz. Because last year the Mets were perfect when they had a lead going into the 9th inning, and last year the Mets won over 91% of their games when they scored 4 or more runs.
Oh, it was a stupid stat. I remember that.
It's not sustainable. It was incredible.
Did you guys know that Diaz didn't give up a run from June?
Don't remind me.
To September, right? Yeah.
It was stupid.
It was unfair.
It was insane. And that's just, you're losing that. Even if you had Diaz, it's probably, not going to be replicated. But, without him, I'm sorry. I love David Robertson. Begged and pleaded for him last year at the trade deadline. He wasn't going to do that, right? So, the whole, if they score 4 runs, they're winning over 91% of the time. That's not going to be replicated. Neither is the, undefeated with a lead going into the 9th. So I'll take them between 93 and 96 wins. And a top 2 finish in the NL East.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we're all in very much agreement with where the Mets are looking.
I like
which
that.
Is hilarious.
Yeah. Seriously. So here's my one last question for you guys regarding the division. Who do you think wins? Because is a part of me saying this probably did not jinx anything to a degree, but I honestly think there is a very realistic chance the Phillies come out atop this division. I think that they deserve that right to be viewed as such after having the run that they had. Because yes, was it a Cinderella story type run? Of course it was, but it doesn't change the fact of how they got there at the end of the day. And now they're going to use that momentum heading into this season. They have a deeper rotation, a deeper bullpen, and the best shortstop in baseball. I love you, Lindor, but I do have Trey slightly ahead of you right now. And Bryce Harper's going to be back at some point, right? You can't tell me that this Phillies team isn't going to be a force to be reckoned with this season, unless, again, they go through their normal Philly ebbs and flows like we saw last year with Girardi. Well, but
I like Philly a lot. I really do. I don't know that I would call them a front runner, but again, I don't know which one of these 3 teams I would. If I'm being completely honest, I really like all 3. I think each team has weaknesses, right? So with the Mets, they don't have power still, and that bullpen doesn't look as good, obviously. I think, and we've already had some starting rotation injuries, which does kind of scare me a little bit, but we're, doing okay there, and I think they'll be fine. The Phillies, it's really a matter of, okay, is this rotation going to hold up? Where's their depth, right? They have a good rotation. I agree. Is Andrew Painter the real deal? Is Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, are they going to continue to be able to hold up after going 200 innings?
This is Nola's walk here, so I think he's going to absolutely ball out.
I mean, agreed. But this guy's been really good for a long time, and he's thrown more innings than anybody else, I think, over the last 5 seasons. Maybe the second most innings, something like that. That's it's. I'm not saying he can't. He's shown he can. I just wonder when that hits. Like, when does that hit you? When do you have that little bit of a fall off? And he's shown throughout his career to have some ebbs and flows. Like, he's shown the ability to have some highs, but then have a down year. And so I don't know when that's going to come. I love Wheeler. I think he's fantastic. I think he's their best starting pitcher.
Yeah.
I like their move for Taiwan. He was great in New York. I think he's going to be very good there. And I think he showed he can get better for the second half last year for the Mets. I think he'll be even better in the second half this year for the Phillies, which is a scary thought. But their depth, everywhere in position player and in the starting rotation, I'm not sure is there. I actually do really like their bullpen. Like, the moves they made, that bullpen, they could have some people who walk guys, and that could be scary, and that could really hurt them. Like, it might be a bad situation. They have guys who have control issues in Soto and Kimbrel, in Alvarez. Like, there are guys who can lose it. That said, did I say Alvarez? Alvarado, sorry.
The rat. This is what he is.
Yeah. They have the pieces, like big pieces in that bullpen. I love the bullpen. They have everything they need. And with Trey Turner, I'm not going to, I love you, Francisco Lindor. I played with you in Cleveland a little bit in spring training. Like, Trey Turner is the real deal. This guy's phenomenal athlete, phenomenal player. He's really good shortstop. All that said, the Braves, they have a similar problem to the Phillies, although with them, it's more their bullpen depth. I'm not sure where it's going to come from in their bullpen. And then position player depth, again, like, they lost Dansby Swanson. Yes, they, Arcia and Adrian's at first, and, Vaughn Grissom will come up at some point and play shortstop. But they don't have, much depth beyond that, and their minor league system is not good anymore. It's ranked 29th or 30th in baseball.
Well, they're all up. Austin Riley's up. Michael Harris is
100%.
up.
Exactly. And so for me, that's where the two of those teams, I find depth to be a much bigger implication of success, especially in a regular season, than anything else. And I think the Mets are best positioned with depth outside of the bullpen to have the most successful year. That's why I give the Mets a slight edge. I think they have the best shot at winning this division right now, but I would put it at literally 38, 35, 32, 33, whatever that number would be, 32. It would be that close for me. It would be, I wouldn't be giving anyone a huge advantage at all.
I think you went over 100 on that percentile. I think you totally just went 105%, but it's all right. We always give more than 100% on this show.
20, it would be 27. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we always give more than 100% on this show, so it's okay.
All right. So again,
rounding error.
Great stuff from.
You hit balls for a living. We get it, Rick.
All right, now let's get on to topic.
Right
Getting on to topic 3.
I used to be good at math.
Used to be, yeah.
I'm gonna eat a noodle now because I'm upset with myself.
Yeah, eat a noodle. Yeah, there you go.
I do think, by the way, for Philly, Harper will be back and he'll mash when he comes back. I hate to say this because I'm not trying to, sound like I don't have any sympathy or empathy regarding the injury. I just don't think Rhys Hoskins' injury is going to be that catastrophic to them. He didn't have a great year last year.
Dude, they're going to pick up Darren Ruff and he's going to do just fine. Watch.
I mean, it wouldn't take much to be equivalent to Rhys last year. But I do think
time out.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop you there. I had an argument with some guys at MLB Network about this last year at the end of the year. They were talking about Castellanos versus Hoskins. I said Hoskins, I would no, I don't think so. I really like Hoskins. He's not a great defensive first baseman.
Ugh.
Offensively, I think he's underrated. I mean, I guess I'm a little bit biased because I played against this guy and he was really good when I played against him.
He was awesome when he first came up, that first year where he hit a home run every game. But
I still, if you look at his numbers, he's at least semi-consistent. I want to say he's an 800 career OPS guy or higher, in the 800 somewhere. To me, that's not bad. And I guess I just don't see yes, he's a first baseman, but I like this. I think he can hit. I'm going to look him up real quick right now. I just want to see if I'm right.
If you
machine, I thought last year his power numbers were average at best. Hoskins is not a guy who should be producing average power numbers. He should be, especially in that ballpark.
30 homers?
Yeah.
Dude.
Wait, how many last year?
30.
I've been over personally, I've been over Hoskins
that.
ever since he had his little petty tantrum about Jacob Rahm supposedly throwing at him. Like, fuck out of here. I'm sorry. What? Yeah, just for him to hit like a walk-off home run against. Yeah, because
Last year was his worst year. I'll give you that.
What do you have? 20?
He has an 845 career OPS. Last year was his worst year. He was 794. It's just below 800.
How many
But
homers?
otherwise, 850, 818, 887, 864. I'm not including his first year because it was only 50 games.
What were the homers
But we can
last
include
year?
that. It was 1014.
Yeah, his first year was sick.
This dude rakes, man. Like, he's really good, and he's got a good eye. He walks, and
Did he
I
have
like that.
30?
I like guys with pop and
Did he have 30 homers last year? I thought he was in the like low 20s.
30 homers.
he
What did
picked it. He
27
picked it
year
up down the
before.
stretch.
What did Castellanos have last year? He finished short of 20.
Yeah, he was poop.
Yeah, Nick's probably
Oh,
not
yeah.
going to live up to that contract. The only thing that I think could benefit him once Harper's back is that lineup just gets deeper, you know? So I think that's
Well-
something where he'll benefit from naturally.
And I'll just tell you guys right now. I mean, I'm not going to say.
Castellanos had 13 homers.
Yeah, he was cheeks.
14. Wow, that's.
And I wanted him heading into that offseason initially. Then I deep dive his home and away splits out of that Barrers box in Cincy. I was like, maybe not.
Remember that game in when David Wright came back in August 2015 when we beat them? The score was like I think both teams might have.
When
been
he
back.
launched a homer on the first pitch he saw in his first game back.
Right, like, but how many home runs did we have that game? I mean, in that ballpark, to have 13 home runs.
Yeah.
That ballpark, I mean, I know Cincinnati is one of the most favorable hitters parks in the league, but Citizens Bank ain't too far behind it. Like,
No, it's
Castellanos,
not. It's not.
He should have 25 minimum. I mean, Jose Wright
Minimum.
had pick power numbers when he would go to Citizens Bank Park.
I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I don't like to talk well about myself because I wasn't good. I personally think if I got to play 120 games anywhere, I would have been a lot better than I was in my career. But if I got to play 120 games, well, I guess, let's say
81.
60 games at that stadium, because as a catcher, you don't play 162. So I'm just saying 120 for a season, 60 games in that stadium. I better hit 20 homers. Like, that better be like a minimum.
Yeah.
20 homers. I'm not obviously not 20 in that stadium, but 20 homers for the year, because I feel like I could pop 12 out of there easy, like without
60
even
games. You should be hitting 10 to 12 in 60 home games there.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
That's
not a
very
big
that's
ask.
very
That
realistic.
Ballpark is it's a bandbox. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, for
Right,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, and I will say because of that ballpark, I think Trey Turner's the MVP this year.
Oh.
We're talking Mets, 12 to 1 odds. I think they're pretty fair odds. He's not the favorite. Soto's ahead of him. Mookie Betts is ahead of him. But I think Turner, especially if the Phillies win, 90 plus games, if they win that division, I think Trey Turner's your NL MVP.
And especially if he steals 50, 60 bases, which he easily can.
I mean,
If he
This
wants to.
is going to be a
if he
big
wants
test
to,
for him
he
this
should
year.
have 30. This year, he should be a 40 stolen base,
He should be.
90 RBI guy.
He should be. Yeah. I mean, that's a great point with how the stolen bases are going to be this year. They're spiked through the roof. That was, of course, a big factor to why Tim LeCastro cracked this team. We're going to see more of that pinch running ability, him cracking some ABs. And staying on the hitter topic, now let's get into, for the Mets, what is our favorite hitter we like this year? For me, I mean, maybe I'm going to steal this from you. I don't know, but it's the guy that I've been gassing up. It's Brett the effing Met. I don't think it's going to take Beatty too long to crack this team. It better not. This is me throwing this wishful thinking. This is not to slight Eduardo Escobar at all. I love that man more than life itself. He's the best personality out there. But I think that there's a very realistic chance that we're going to see Beatty on this roster sooner than later in the first couple months. And once he gets up here, I think he's going to give every reason as to why he's going to be staying up here. So Beatty, having the personal experience to watch him in spring training when I was there a couple weeks ago, I mean, just looked like an absolute stud, grinding out his at-bats. Glove, not nearly as bad as what people may think about him. Yes, he had some hiccups early in spring, but he was making a lot of really great plays, from normal routine plays to, some absolutely drilling out guys to first. Nice picks by Vientos or whoever it would be there at first. So Beatty's my guy, because this roster is very similar. So, I mean, outside of me picking the normal guys every year, I mean, Beatty's got to be him. And for a guy who, there was a month span where we didn't even think that he would have a future on this team potentially. It's crazy how things work itself out now back in his favor at some point. So, Brett the Met, lock it in. He is my hitter that I am most excited for this season. What about you, Rec?
I was going to say, let Joe go. I'm about to eat some noodles anyway.
Go ahead.
Oh, there we go. All right. News always lead to me. I'm going to go Lindor. I'm going to
Okay.
go Francisco Lindor.
Yep.
I know we were just talking about it, and we were talking about this team's lack of base stealing. I think Lindor is going to go out there and give us a 30-30 season. The guy's stolen 25 bags before. He's stolen over 20 twice. Last year, he had 16. A lot of those came on late in the year. This year, not so much with the bigger bases and the slightly shorter distance between them. I don't think for him it's going to matter all that much, but more so the fact that he is a smart, savvy base runner. And now you've got the pickoff rule limits. I think Lindor is going to play the mind game with a lot of pitchers. I think he's going to be a 30-30 guy. I know it's a really bold prediction, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. I can't wait to see Lindor this season.
Mine's easy. I like that. I like Lindor. I like Beatty. It doesn't really matter. I would love to say Mauricio. I told you by the end of the year, I think he's going to be up and he's going to be producing and helping this team. The most dynamic bat that this team could use to truly transform the lineup. Like, that's the way I'm thinking about this. What are they lacking? Power. They got one guy, really. I mean, yes, Francisco can hit some balls out. They got a couple other guys that can pop one out occasionally, but they don't have guys who are hitting 30 outside of Pete, right? I mean, Francisco can get up there, can get close. Maybe he'll hit 30. I don't know.
He's a lock for 25. I mean,
yeah,
that's
every season. Yep.
25 is a good number. Alvarez. Like, Francisco Alvarez can be the guy who totally transforms this lineup. And I mean this from, he could DH. Great. What if he's your catcher? What if that guy's your catcher and he's got 30, 40 home run type pop right out the chute? Like, and that's not like unheard of. Like, think about when Gary Sanchez came up and all of a sudden just was popping balls all over the place, right? Like, Aaron Judge did the same thing. Pete, his rookie year, hits 52, I don't know, 53, I don't even remember. So like, this is not Rhys Hoskins comes up and just rakes like
he was ridiculous. I was like, what the hell's going on here?
This can easily happen, and this guy, this is his tool, right? This is his tool. He could be that piece for this team. I'm really excited. I don't care if he catches or not. I know the Mets do. They want him to be able to progress as a catcher, and so you're not really going to call him up unless he's going to catch. And so it might delay him a little bit. I don't know how that's going to play out. But to me, this is the one guy who can completely transform this lineup because he can be that second huge power bat. You put him, say Pete's still hitting fourth or whatever. You put him in that like 6th spot or maybe even 7. And now all of a sudden you can slide because they have a problem at the top of the lineup. They have too many guys that can go to the top of the lineup, whether it's Nimmo, Marte, McNeil, Lindor. Like, they got guys that should be up there. Now all of a sudden you can slide one or two of those guys below Pete. And you can almost have like a second 1, 2, 3. This team is scary. I mean, it's scary if you get his bat in there. That's why he's my pick, because I mean, I saw him in 21 spring training take Jacob deGrom to right center. It was unbelievable. And I'm just like, this kid's what, 19 at the time, 20? I don't remember. It was crazy. And I'm just thinking this kid's going to be special. And so I'm just excited to see him. I think he's got the most potential, like I said, to just completely transform this lineup.
20 years ago, the Mets had a catcher who could hit a ball 430 feet to right center and built a lineup around that guy to take him to the World Series. So
not bad.
Yeah, I think if you can get that kind of offensive production, we always say like catcher's a position where you'll sacrifice offense for defense at times. But if you can get that kind of offensive production from your catcher, and you've also got guys like Alonso, Lindor, Nimmo, McNeil in that lineup, I mean, sky's the limit, seriously.
They already make contact. Like this lineup makes contact. They struck out 3rd fewest times last year. You put guys like that, like 1 or 2 more guys like that, one more guy really in this lineup like that. Oof, it's scary.
One final thing I want to share on Alvarez, and then we'll get on to the starting pitchers is, did he have an underwhelming spring? Yes. That went in hand with him still coming back from his ankle surgery they had right after the duration, the season concluded last year because he needed ankle surgery and was very limited in his role. I mean, the Mets didn't give him a crazy amount of reps as starting catcher this spring because, again, he was still healing up. Catching-wise, I heard a lot of people in the organization rave about his defense. Really, really looked sharp. The bat-to-ball skills wasn't there, but, I mean, I think we need to really take a minute to talk about Francisco Alvarez. The kid's 21 years of age. I can say kid. He's literally younger than me. And yet you look at Adley Rutschman. A little bit. Enough. Like a 2-year span, literally. Adley Rutschman, who's 3-4 years older than him, made his debut last year, is already deemed as arguably the best catcher in baseball, or going to be in the next year or two, right? You see what he's doing at his age. Then you have Alvarez. This is like just the start. And to see Alvarez's bat so advanced, because I'm not sure if you guys remember, the only reason why Alvarez is as coveted as he is, as the borderline #1 prospect in all baseball right now, is his bat to ball skills. That has carried him since the Mets signed him as an international prospect. So if he just goes back to doing what we fully expect him to do, I don't think it's going to take him long to come up again. The Mets literally signed a catcher in Omar Narvaez to help be that mentor for him as a fellow Venezuelan and get him more acclimated with the league. It's not a matter of if, but when Alvarez will be up with the team this year. And when he does, hopefully it's a similar situation as I was emphasizing with Beatty, where he performs to his ability, gets a good amount of playing time, and stays up for the remainder of the year. I mean, the Mets have potential to have their answers internally this year with this offense. And it's imperative for them to make sure that they give these kids a certain level of leash before, say, trying to go out and make trade decisions. Or the other way around, if they decide to be underwhelming at the trade deadline like last year, then if you wait to bring the kids up, you don't know what you're getting. Again, just further reasoning as to why I want to see these kids up sooner rather than later, certainly before the second half of the season begins. But
2 of the 3 of Beatty, Alvarez, and Mauricio will be up in June. 2 out of the 3.
Yeah,
I like that.
100%.
Okay, so let's get into the starter now. We'll probably have some of the same picks here. The Mets did change up their rotation quite a bit this year. For me, I feel like it's an easy pick. Justin Verlander, I'm ecstatic for him, don't get me wrong. But when you have such a uncertainty in Kodai Senga, who has a great personality as is, I'm locking him in. I mean, there's so much uncertainty with Senga. This guy can be potentially, one of the more dominant pitchers in baseball this year, or he could be the worst guy in this rotation. Like, we really don't know what's going to happen with him yet. But what I do know is that I love Senga, love his personality, love his stuff, and I'm excited to see more of that Ghost Fork this season. So, Rec, what about you? Who's your starter that you're most excited about this season for the Mets?
Well, earlier in our chat, we asked this question, and I was the first one to answer Kodai Senga. So I'm a little bit upset that you took Kodai Senga.
Oh, I'm sorry.
just now.
What, you want me to lie?
No.
Yeah, I thought we were calling
Okay,
dibs
T.
on that shit.
No.
We're
Fine.
calling dibs?
It's called you
Like
call
the ice
dibs on
cream?
it, and then T goes and just up and takes it from you, and you can't go on your spiel that you have for Kodai Senga. He's really good. He's going to be really good. How can you not be excited about this guy? He's the one pitcher, not starter. I'm talking bullpen, rotation, doesn't matter. I want to see this guy pitch, topping out at upwards of 100 miles an hour, splitty, slider. Like, I think this dude's going to be legit. He's on my fantasy team. Let's go.
There we go. There we go.
Before we
When
get
did
to you, Joe.
draft him? Because I know they're going to ask in the comments. When did you draft him?
I'd have to go back and look. It was late.
Ooh, okay.
I'm late.
Little
Upside
value
pick,
pick.
baby. Upside pick. Yeah. Here,
I'm
let's
gonna
see.
go, I'm going to go with, by the way, Senga, Rookie of the Year. He's my pick. 10-1 odds. NL Rookie of the Year. Love Senga in that spot.
If you had to pick, wait, just for 1 second. If you had to pick a position player to win, who would you pick out of the NL? My pick's easy, but I want to know what yours is.
To win Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, if it wouldn't be Senga.
It's Carroll.
Yeah. Or, I don't know. We'll see what Walker does for the Cardinals. That's another name to keep an eye out for.
Or, we'll see what Brett Beatty does.
That's a good point, too. Fair enough.
No,
all right.
But Senga's my pick. I think,
Nice.
Unless a rookie goes out and hits 30 home runs, I think pitching's just sexy. And, when you look at these guys, highlights from their rookie year in 2023, and Senga has 180-plus strikeouts and a sub-3 ERA, I think it's going to be hard to not give him that award, especially doing it in New York. There's more eyes on him in New York than there are, Carroll in Arizona. It is really just that simple. But the starter I'm most excited to see this year, it's Mad Max. I cannot wait to see Scherzer. I love the rule changes. We talk about how offensively it might not benefit the Mets as much because they don't run as much and whatnot. But Max out there with these pitching rules, I think we saw it in the spring. His smarts, his savviness, the guy's just a pit bull out there every single time he toes the rubber. And I think he's going to go out there and have some pretty insane strikeout numbers this year. I'll tell you guys right now, there's no line out yet because the lineups aren't out. But tomorrow morning out here in the West Coast or afternoon in the East Coast, whenever those lineups come out, if you're going to bet on that Mets-Marlins game, I'm going over on Scherzer's K-prop. I'm assuming opening day it'll come out around 7.5, and I'm going to take him to go 8 or more strikeouts against Miami tomorrow. I see Rec taking notes right now. He's getting ready to put that bet in.
No, I was looking at my draft. Seeing when I drafted
I'm messing with you, Rec. But I think Scherzer's going to have a great year. I think the only thing preventing Max Scherzer from winning a Cy Young this year might be availability. If he goes out there and gives you 27, 28 starts at a minimum, Scherzer's going to win the Cy Young. Last year, he didn't qualify for ERA because of innings pitched, but it was the lowest ERA of his career at 2.29.
Which is even crazy because the year that the Mets picked him up, like from that previous season with the Dodgers and the Nats, that was also his lowest ERA of his career.
Right.
And now it's Justin Verlander's lowest. It's like, yeah.
So
Crazy.
I love Max. I think that if he qualifies this year, if he gets enough starts, he's going to be a strikeout machine. He's going to have a sub 2.4 ERA. And as long as he's healthy and he's out there enough, he's going to win the Cy Young.
I like that. So, yeah, I have
Kodai Senga, I didn't take him as late as I thought. 12th round.
Okay.
But is it 12th or 13th? Yeah, 12th round. But this league is very pitching heavy. Like if you don't have good pitching, you're screwed. So
yeah.
I took
That's a good value pick, man.
He was my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pitcher off the board.
Who are the 5 before him?
Off of Fried, DeGrom, Kershaw, McKenzie, Bassett. Lots of Mets in there.
Wow. Tristan McKenzie, like that late?
I got McKenzie in the 7th round.
Wow.
That's
surprised Kershaw went before him.
Yeah, I actually didn't mean to take Kershaw. I actually meant to take McKenzie in that round. And literally I went to click on it. And as I clicked on it, the board moved and I clicked on Kershaw. And I was like, no! And then McKenzie came back to me and I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. And then now he's hurt for 2 months, so it doesn't matter. So,
wait, McKenzie's hurt?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
When did that come out?
Oh, shoot.
A couple of days ago.
Oh, shit. I did not see that.
What is it? It's like a 2-week. He's gonna like take 2 weeks off, but they're saying potential of 8 weeks total till he pitches in a game. So,
yeah. I love that kid. By the way, shout out to my guys in the chat here. GD out here in Venice Beach and Rich out here in Laguna. Shout out to my West Coast Met fans.
There you go.
Have some watch parties this year.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we will. It'll be fun. Also, guys, make sure to continue smashing that like and subscribe button. We appreciate you all. And for those that are just chiming in watching live, we will be having podcasts out after every single Mets series this year, recapping, previewing the upcoming one. And we will be on a separate YouTube channel. We'll be streaming on both for quite a bit. So once that is all unveiled with the new name and logo, we'll make sure to keep you guys updated on that front. And again, more new surprises, exciting things coming to the pod. So make sure that you're a part of it all season long. But now let's get into our final topic today before we answer any more questions before we get out of here. And that is, Joe, letting you take it away here with the MLB over-unders. What do you got?
It's future season, baby. There are a lot of bets I love going into this season. I've got 7 win totals for everyone to just sit back, watch baseball, and make some money on this year. So we're starting with the Mets. Like I said, this has been the one that I've seen vary the most depending on the sports book. So always shop around, get the best price. 94.5 is the highest I've seen. Don't touch it. I've seen 91.5. I'll even tell you where. I don't like free promos, but DraftKings has the Mets at 91.5 wins. Hit that over 91.5.
Hammer.
Other overs I love. Baltimore Orioles over 76.5. I mean,
oh, that's easy money. Are you kidding me?
83 a year ago. I know,
dude, that's a joke.
Starting pitching, bullpen's great. Lineup can mash. You got guys like Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, another year under their belt. Love the Orioles to go over 76.5. I think they'll win closer to 86 than 76. Mariners over 87.5. Again, they won 90 a year ago. George Kirby, I'm expecting a breakout year out of him, and they have a full year of Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, Robbie Ray, both great pitchers. Robbie Ray can't be worse than he was last year, by the way.
Hopefully
Mariners, not. Over 87.5. That's 3 out of my 7. What else do we got? Phillies. I hate to do it, but over 88.5. Pitching got better. Zach Wheeler, I think, is going to be a Cy Young competitor. People are talking Aaron Nola. Wheeler's the ace on that team, Rex, to your point earlier. Trey Turner is going to win the MVP, so I think that lineup's going to score a lot of runs. Phillies over 88.5. D-backs over 75.5.
I love that.
A lot of
great
talent.
pick.
Love their pitching up top with Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly. They're going to mash. They're at a hitter-friendly ballpark. I think Arizona is going to probably be right around 500, 80 to 81 wins.
Yep.
So over 75.5 and 2 unders after those 5 overs. Angels, Rangers, both under 82.5. They're I just think perennially disappointing teams. The Angels have the 2 best players in baseball. Decent pitching. I think Tyler Anderson's going to take a step back from where he was last year with the Dodgers. I don't trust their lineup. And for Texas, that rotation is not as good as everyone's making it out to be. Will DeGrom stay healthy? That's a big question mark. The back end of the rotation, Andrew Heaney was a big acquisition of theirs, but he can't go more than 5 innings. I just don't like their rotation depth. They can definitely hit, but last year it took guys like Simeon and Seager a while to get going. I don't think either the Rangers or Angels go over 82.5. I'm taking them under those numbers.
I think my only counter with that might be the Angels, and I know that might be crazy to say, but I do like their lineup far superior to last year. I mean, they had no depth. When you had Duffy batting like cleanup for them, whatever they had, it wasn't looking good. The injuries were just inevitable, and obviously the biggest factor will be, 1, where they're at leading up to the trade deadline, but 2, Mike Trout's health. If Trout can stay healthy, if that back can get through the majority of the season, then I do think that the Angels are going to surprise some people. I like that rotation more than others. I don't love Tyler Anderson. I agree with you there, but I am a big fan of Patrick Sandoval. I think that they have some nice pieces in that rotation. The bullpen, I expect a little bit of a bounce back. I mean, they haven't managed their bullpen well in years. We're aware of that. You give up Raisel Iglesias for a bag of peanuts, and now he's going to be the closer for the Braves this year. It is what it is. But Angels is that one where I don't feel too great about personally, but the Rangers, I tend to agree with you. They need to prove it. There's so much that has changed, and one thing that I've noticed with them is with their coaching staff, a lot of stars for sure, but a lot of old heads in that team too. And I don't want to come off the wrong way, but there's something that needs to be said about making sure you're using at least a decent amount of newfound information. And I'm curious to see what they're going to look like this year under Bochy and with that pitching staff, because again,
with Chris Young as their GM, they're going to
use Chris Young's a great hire. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just curious.
Princeton guy, right?
Yeah. I'm just curious if they can basically do how the Mets won about Buck, then I think they're in great hands. But if they don't, I don't know. I have plenty of question marks with Texas, so I agree with you on that one, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, look, Bochy's as good as it gets. He's great. I definitely am more confident with the Angels going under than the Rangers because of Bochy, because of Chris Young, because, if DeGrom stays healthy, they could win 25 out of his 30 starts.
That would be nice, can't relate.
You got to show me first.
All right. Well, Rec, any final thoughts about those picks before we just answer a couple questions and hop out of here?
Yeah, I'll just quickly say, I actually like all of the overs. I actually like the Angels and Rangers to go over. And you're going to say, well, that's crazy. Well, I said it earlier. The way that this schedule is going to make the teams, you're going to have the teams winning 100 games are going to win a few less. You're going to have the teams that are winning 60 games win more. But in doing so, I think it pushes some of those teams that you have around 500 to potentially win like 85. I think you have more teams that are going to be in that range, which is going to be really exciting come playoff time. And I think that means that teams like the Rangers and the Angels both go over those numbers. But look, no matter what you're saying, when you're talking about these overs, you're assuming there's some level of health, and that's so like scary and unpredictable. Right. But that said, yeah, there's a lot of overs I could see that out of those teams. What are the Yankees at? I want to know what they're at. And the Astros. What are the Astros at?
Astros are 96.5.
Under.
I'm leaning under. Yankees, I want to say 94.5. I'm staying away.
I might go under on that. I don't think Rodon. I like Rodon a lot. I would have liked him in a different city, like in a different.
I like
ballpark.
Toronto to win the AL East.
I do too, 100%.
Are we going World Series picks?
Wait, let's just go through this briefly. Let's do our picks for awards, things of that nature. I think that'd be fun. So, Joe, you said you like Senga as NL Rookie of the Year, right? If it's a pitcher, I agree with you on Senga. If it's not, then it's hard to not pick the guy who already signed a $100 million deal. That's still technically a rookie in Corbin Carroll. So I have that favoritism there. AL, there's a lot of really good picks. The favorite is Gunnar Henderson. However, aside from Masataka Yoshida in a very similar situation as Senga, who looked great, and Rec, I'll let you take that away. My pick is going to be a man who just cracked the White Sox starting lineup, Oscar Luis Colas, Love him.
Last pick of the draft,
Yeah,
baby.
there
Last
you
pick of the
go.
draft.
Love him. I was a huge fan of his when he was coming over from overseas. You know, they were calling him the Cuban Otani when he was playing over there in Japan or Korea, wherever he was. Was throwing, was touching high 90s on the gun. Was just now an outfielder that we know. But a lot of pop. Cracked this team. They definitely can use it. Doesn't hurt to have more depth. Hopefully, this White Sox team stays healthy. I really hope that they have a run this year, and I'd expect Kolas to be a part of that. So a little bit of a sneaky pick, but if I'm going to go with one that I have a favoritism for as a fan, I'm going to go with Oscar. So Joe, pardon me, Rec, I'll let you take it away with your picks.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if I was going to go like NL and AL Rookie of the Year, I really like Yoshida in Boston. I
Nasty.
think this guy's going to have a fantastic year. I think he has more pop than he showed in Japan. I think that'll show up. I think the fact that he is a balanced hitter, the type of guy who can hit for a really high average, we haven't seen him play enough yet, but I would say that Fenway is going to set up really, really nicely for this guy as a left-handed hitter. You get beat on a pitch, pop it off the wall. Like, that's what made Big Poppy when he got to Boston. It was like, you have this lefty who doesn't swing and miss a ton, can let the ball travel, can obviously get the head out and hit the ball a mile to right field, but he could let it get deep and just pop one off the wall whenever he needed to. And that gives you confidence as a left-handed hitter. If he can figure that out early enough, and we've already seen him, whether it was the WBC or in spring training, we've seen him hitting balls all over the place. This guy's going to be fantastic. If I was going to go NL Rookie of the Year, I do like Senga. Just trying to think of like some of the other names, like Ezekiel Tovar in Colorado.
True.
I don't know that he's going to have the same kind of dynamic season.
You like your Jordan Walker, though.
I do like Jordan Walker out of St. Louis. I don't think he's going to have the type of numbers it's going to take to be Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
I think he's going to struggle at times. He looked great for a stretch in spring training, right? But then slowed down. And I think that's going to be what you're going to see throughout the course of the season. You're going to see that big highs and lows.
Do we think Brett Beatty is a realistic chance if Eddie really has a bad April and Beatty comes up and cranks 20 plus?
If he cranks 20 plus, absolutely. I don't know that he will. I don't know that his power is going to show up that prodigiously that early. He's just a really pure hitter, and I see him with a guy like Eric Chavez as his, well, not hitting coach, he's the bench coach, but same mindset within that organization as far as exactly. I see that coming along slower than I think people would like, and that's okay. But I just don't see him putting up the Rookie of the Year type numbers. So I would say, I'm trying to think of like any others that are popping off the top of my head, and none are, because I wasn't thinking about this coming in. But I mean, I like Senga, like I said, a guy like Tovar. There's some pitchers, out there. I think the Cubs have a couple of guys who are pretty young, pretty solid. Wesneski, and I'm trying to think of the other one.
Justin Steele,
I don't think he's Rookie of the Year eligible.
I don't think he could have a breakout year. I like.
He could have a really good year. I agree. That's one of the guys I was thinking of when I was talking about young pitchers.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what's fun about this game right now. There is so much good young talent right now. It's incredible. And what's fun is like you see these guys cracking these lineups and these rosters to start the season. It's awesome.
Yeah,
So much
I
fun.
mean, it would have been even more awesome if the Mets did, but I digress. One final comment I'll share on the Rookie of the Year front. Another sleeper pick to look from the AL is Yankees fans. You'll like this, Anthony Volpe. I mean, just crack that starting job.
Go with my American League. That was
Oh, shit, my bad. I'm an asshole.
I wouldn't even say that's a sleeper. That dude's really good.
No, he is good.
Volpe.
I said
Volpe's
sleeper. I said sleeper in the sense that we hadn't mentioned him yet, but Joe, I'm an asshole. I apologize. Go ahead.
You are, but it's all right. I love you anyway. I want to give it to Gunnar Henderson because I love him and we saw what he could do already in the big leagues. But I do think there is some New York bias. And if Volpe comes out and he's the next Yankee shortstop and he's, they're already saying Derek Jeter-esque and all
number
that.
11 too. That's the lowest number they have available, right?
Wild. Yeah, I mean, it's insane that with their numbers.
Gardner's still waiting for the
Volpe
call. I
goes
guess
out.
not.
And if Gunnar Henderson has this much of a better year than Volpe is going to get the award. Because he's wearing the pinstripes and he's playing Jeter's old position. So I'm going to go with an all New York Rookie of the Year, Senga Volpe.
Ooh, okay. So, let's just fast forward, I guess.
Yeah,
Do we want to do NLCS, ALCS, or just go right to the dance?
We're skipping Cy Youngs and MVPs?
Oh, no, we're not. I'm just all over the place because we didn't structure this heading into it.
Let's go rapid fire on these.
All right.
Cy Youngs, I'm going Mad Max in the National League. American League, I'm going Shohei. His pitching just gets better every year. I was torn between him or Christian Javier. I mentioned like George Kirby last year, finished strong. It's going to translate. I think Javier, as much as I love Framber Valdez, is going to be Houston's ace. But I'm gonna lean Shohei just to edge him out in that race. Also, 12-1 odds on the AL Cy Young there. Max is 8-1 on the NL.
What about you, Rick?
NL, I'm gonna go. See, I haven't thought about this enough. I'll go. You know what? I like my boy Max Fried. I know. I'm sorry, Mets fans. He's been very close a couple of times now. He puts together, he doesn't have the strikeout numbers, and I think that hurts him in some sense. But if this rotation suffers any injuries, which I don't think Strider's going to have quite as good of a year as he did last year, they're going to need a guy to step up, and I think that might be the guy. And when they end up with 94, 95 wins, and they're right there with the Mets, 1-2, Phillies, 1, 2, 3, whatever, I think this guy gets a lot of recognition. So I'll take him for NL Cy Young. AL Cy Young, I like Shohei. I'm not going to go Shohei. I don't think he can continue to hold up and perform that well. He probably will. And, I'm going to go. I really liked what I saw out of Dylan Cease last year. That's
Love
a guy
him.
with the K numbers. Chicago isn't going to be that good, but this dude's phenomenal. And he's struggled a little bit down the second half, but I think he puts together a better year, and he's my AL Cy Young.
I love that kid. I made so much money last year on his K props before the books adjusted.
The K prop king.
Oh my God. I mean, he was coming like 6.5 for the first 3 months, and he was 9, 10, like it was nothing.
They didn't know what they were dealing with.
Right.
Okay.
He's insane. Wardy, your Cy Young picks. You got
Cy Young, NL, I'm going to surprise some people and go with Tony Gonsolin. I mean, I think if he can stay healthy, then he can definitely put up a big year. I like that a lot. And for the
years behind him.
and we'll see. And then for the and if it's not him, then I'm gonna say Aaron Nola because this is walk year. I really think he's gonna dominate. Without being biased, not trying to be a homer. For AL, I'm probably gonna go with Valdez for the Astros. Mixing it up a little bit. I think they're going to be fine without JV. A lot of people like Christian Javier too. One or the other. I think it's going to be in Houston.
Yeah, Valdez goes deep. Javier has to show us he can go deeper into games.
Yep.
I mean, his stuff is, he would strike out 13 guys in 6 innings. Like, it's ridiculous. MVPs, we all know I'm on Turner for the National League. American League, it's a bit contradictory to myself here because on one hand, if I think Ohtani's going to win the Cy Young, how can he win the Cy Young and not win the MVP? Like, how can a two-way player who hits 30 home runs be the best pitcher in his league and not be the most valuable player? But for the sake of not going Ohtani, I'm going to go Yordan Alvarez because I think he's going to hit 40+. I think he's going to hit probably 300. I think Alvarez has a shot at the Triple Crown, and I think that would be maybe the only way he can win the MVP with Ohtani winning the Cy Young. So I'm going to say Alvarez gets a Triple Crown and is your MVP.
Oh. Rec?
I'm going to start in the AL because I just can't wait to say this. Adley Rutschman is going to be the AL MVP.
Oh, holy shit.
He's going to have a Buster Posey-like offensive stat line with some of the best defensive numbers we've seen from a catcher outside of JT Realmuto in a long time. This is your all around best catcher in the game. And I think that because the Orioles are going to go on a nice run and win more games than people are giving them credit for, I don't know that pitching staff is as good as they need it to be, but if they get some good performances out of a guy like Grayson Rodriguez, if he can get healthy, some of their other prospects, if DL Hall can get in that line, in that rotation, they have a shot to surprise a lot of people. So to me, Adley Rutschman would be a fantastic MVP candidate. In the NL, it's almost like unfortunate, but I have to say Trey Turner too, because the dude's he's seriously like one of the best baseball players I've ever seen. What he can do, it's incredible. If I had to go with a second, just because he's been mentioned, I'm actually going to say this is even worse. I already put Max Fried, Trey Turner, Austin Riley. Dude, I love this kid, man. I love him. He plays better defense than he gets credit for because he's not Nolan Arenado. He's not Manny Machado. I get it. He's a very good defensive third base. Very good. And he has, he's top 3 in extra base hits every year. 30 some, what do you have? 38, 39 homers last year. Dude can hit 40 homers. Dude can have 100 and some RBIs on a team that's, looking to win the division. This kid is really, really good.
Yeah, I'm not going to overthink this one. AL, Shohei, lock it in. NL, Juan Soto. I think he's going to have a really, really good year for the Padres. So
I think he
I'm
does
so
too.
out on Soto.
Yeah.
all right,
I'm so
that's
out on him.
He's on my fantasy team.
I'm
but I don't
looking
know.
forward to us coming back to this later in the year.
The
That's all I'll
odds-on
say.
favorite for each award, so you're sunk.
Yeah.
I don't care.
was
I'm not betting on him. That's fine.
I'm gonna throw $100 on each of my 6 because if one hits, I profit.
True.
Like, why not?
All right, so shout out. Someone donated and some said num num num. I appreciate that. Matthew Martell with a donation says, I got Cease with the 66th pick in my fantasy, so that sounds great to me. It's not a 12-man, clearly. So, all right. Well, again, Matthew, appreciate that donation. It's cool. It says this was your first super chat. Appreciate that, Matthew. All right, now let's get into what NLCS, ALCS, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll start. NLCS, I'm going to go Padres Mets. ALCS, I'm going to go with Astros. And if there's a way for this to happen, then that's what I want, even though it might not. Seattle Mariners. If there's a way for that to be formatted, that's my ALCS.
There is.
Of course there's
There
a
is.
way.
Yeah. I'm just making. I know the playoff format's a little bit different, so like I don't know exactly how it runs off the top of my
Who's
head.
gonna get the bye and whatnot.
Yeah.
You could say any 2 teams.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right. What about you guys?
Good, Joe.
NLCS is identical. Mets, Padres. By the way, we're talking overs, unders. Dodgers 96.5. I know they just won like 110. I'm leaning under 96.5. I think the pitching takes a step back a bit. I don't trust this lineup. Padres pitching, their starting pitching concerns me. But I'm going to go Mets, Padres, NLCS, ALCS, Mariners, Blue Jays.
Everyone would love that. Literally everyone would love that.
It would be so fun. Rec, what about you?
I love your AL. I love your AL CS. I'm trying to see if there's a way that I could not hate that.
No, I mean, hey, me and Warren
Be
are
honest.
3 out of 4 on the same. So,
Yeah.
I love the Blue Jays. I really do. I think they have every piece that they need at this point to take that next step and get to the ALCS.
And Noah loves you too.
I love the Mariners. Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? Some people are sensitive. I don't know.
He clearly still eats pork. I mean, it is what it is.
Go
I'm gonna go Seattle. I'm gonna go Seattle, Toronto in the AL. I really like that. I mean, I just love those 2 young teams doing everything that they're supposed to do the right way, signing guys, like bringing up good players. In the NL, oh man, I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna have fun with this. I'm gonna go Mets, Phillies.
Ooh.
That would be so
Oh
fun.
my God. I would be at every game if that happened.
Everybody loves the Padres, right? Everybody's in love with the Padres, and I get it. I really do.
Flaws.
Like
they really have flaws.
I really think their starting rotation is not as good as people think. Musgrove has shown, like, yes, he can be good when he's healthy, but he's had a lot of injury issues over the last couple of years. When you look at Yu Darvish, I like him, very good. In big moments, he doesn't tend to always show up. And not only that, but he's getting older too. Like he's definitely like getting towards the downside of his career. I can say it about Scherzer and Verlander. They've had some of their best years of late. And you could say the same thing about Darvish. He's had some of his best years of late, but I still don't see it continuing. And then I've mentioned earlier, Nick Martinez, Seth Lugo, like you can't round out your rotation like that. And they've traded away so many young prospects to get the team that they have. They don't have the depth that they had in the minor league system. So I don't think they make the same run. I really don't, despite all the big, names that they have in that lineup. I think their pitching ends up coming up short, and their bullpen doesn't really impress me, to be honest.
I'm really torn right now. I want to change my pick.
You gonna go Phillies Mets?
No
backsies.
backsies.
Revenge series. I wanted the revenge, but
Yeah.
Phillies are going to get Harper back.
You might get that though. You don't need it in the NLCS. You might get it in the DS.
I have a very hot take regarding the Padres this year.
Phillies get Harper back. Their starting pitching is so much better. A healthy Suarez. I mean, yeah, it's like Darvish, Musgrove, and then Snell can't find the strike zone. Martinez and Lugo, a full year as starters. Like You're talking
Yeah.
Wheeler and Nola are two guys that could win a Cy Young award. Then Suarez, then Walker. Oh,
Painter's the real deal.
I'm gonna go
Andrew
Mets
Painter's really
Phillies.
good.
I'm gonna go. So Rec, are we identical? Mariners, Blue Jays, Mets Phillies.
Yeah. Now we are.
And Mets Mariners World Series.
Okay. I'm going to go with, and actually before we get there, I just want to add one more thing. If the Brewers are a mediocre team, which they probably will be by the trade deadline, my hot take is that we see another blockbuster between San Diego and Milwaukee, but this time it's Corbin Burns heading to the Padres. I know that they don't have a deep farm, but I think that they will still do something and make that happen. AJ Preller and ownership, they're all in wraps. They're on this win now still. And they know that they're likely not going to be able to extend, I mean, Soto's possible. I'm not going to say anything's impossible with this team because they've proven me wrong, but I really think that they're going to make a huge splash for pitching by the trade deadline. And I do think Corbin Burns is in that realm of possibility, which goes in hand with my pick for them, which is why I actually have them going all the way to the World Series. But they're going to be losing to Houston. So that's my pick.
I have Corbin Burns getting traded, but I have him getting traded elsewhere.
Okay.
I think he goes American League.
I think he goes American League.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the Brewers are going to send him to San Diego. Yeah,
Cleveland Guardians, anyone? Cleveland Guardians, anyone?
Ooh, Bieber, Burns, McKenzie. Wow.
Give. Ooh.
That makes Cleveland a World Series.
Wait. Pause. Unplug your mic and replug it. Unplug your mic and replug it, Joe. Jesus Christ. That just went.
That was scary.
That was horrifying. Oh, now. Oh, wait. Now we got to bring it back in. Hold on. So, Rec in the live stream, you can't tell, but your head's like cropped off now because Joe has to come back. So, if we just see your forehead at the moment, Rec, this is fantastic. No, you're not even in the frame. You got to wait for Joe to come back. All right, so give it a second. Joe's mic just had to go kaput. All right, now we're adding Joe back. So, alrighty.
Am I back?
Yes, you're good.
Yeah, I was just saying Burns, Bieber, McKenzie in a postseason pitching rotation makes the Guardians a legit World Series contender.
True, and they have
I
assets.
I would have put them there, but I can't assume that trade's going to happen. So
Right. But yeah, that's scary. But I'm going. So Wardy, you're going Padres, Astros over the Padres. I'm going Mets over the Mariners.
Woo!
Jared Kalenic, Paul Sewell, Edwin Diaz series. And Rec, what's your World Series?
Oh man, Blue Jays over the Phillies in a rematch of 1993.
Oh, okay,
You got
dude.
The Phillies over the Mets. That hurt.
Guys, I get it. This is a Mets podcast, but I really don't get I don't get biased opinion. Like it just doesn't happen.
Without Diaz, that's going to be tough this year.
And that's why moves
I
are going to
just-
happen.
Flaws in every other team in the National League.
There are flaws in Philly, but the way the playoffs are still set up and the way the Phillies are going to be set up come that time of year, they're going to be a really tough out. Not that the Mets aren't, not that the Braves aren't. The NL is going to be stupid. NL is going to be awesome. Like you mentioned the Brewers, I don't think they're going to be out of it. I actually kind of like the Brewers. Like I think Jesse Winker has a huge bounce back year. I think that team is better than you think. I think they're going to potentially win 90 plus games. I think you've got the Cardinals. I don't think the Cubs are much more than a 500 team, but I think they could be decent. But you got three teams in the NL East that are really good. I think you have two teams in the NL Central that are really good, and I think you have two teams in the NL West that are contending. So to me, you've got seven right there. That all, in my opinion, you could make a case for them being a really good playoff team. The Brewers need some more offense. The Cardinals need an ace. It could happen at some point during the year. So to me, I don't know. NL's silly.
And I'll say this about the Mets point. I mean, I'm obviously not trying to be too much of a homer. I hope I'm proven wrong. It's as simple as that. It's really hard for me to do any of these predictions and not try to think about jinxes because I am one of those guys. Like, I just feel like it happens, whether you believe it or not. I believe in those types of things a little bit. So, with that being said, however, I still see flaws with this Mets team. I expect it to be addressed. But if we find ourselves again in a deja vu situation of last year's trade deadline and the kids weren't brought up, I mean, like, how none of that sways me to make me think that anything's going to be better. All that matters to me for this Mets team, and I'm sure you guys can both agree this, is them being hot at the right time and not falling flat on their face for a month straight. I think the fact that the Mets actually have like their final 2 weeks of only playing the Phillies, I think that'll actually do them better heading into postseason than playing against the Cubs, the Pirates, and yada yada. I really think that them being on their toes all the way until they're done is going to benefit them versus being stressed about the Braves, in which they had their upper hand all year long, and then lose it at last second, and then they naturally lost their mojo heading into that wild card round against the Padres, who were playing spoiler. So there is news, but before we get to it and wrap up the show, let's see. Luis, thank you for the dono. He says, my gut feeling, if healthy, Senga is going to be a 16 to 18 game winner. Is that wishful thinking? I don't think that's wishful thinking as long as Senga pitches enough and stays healthy. Need to make sure the Mets don't skip many starts from him because they are going to do a 6-man rotation at times this year. But I mean, if Cookie Carrasco can get 15 wins for the Metropolitans last year, I don't think anything is outlandish on the win front. So yeah, I think Senga that's possible for at least 16 if he gets enough. But the big news from Jeff Passan, I don't know if you guys saw, is that the MLB and the minor league baseball have officially agreed to their collective bargaining agreement. So, yep. Rec, I want to know what's your thoughts about that.
Love it. I mean, it's about time. Like, why has it taken this long for the minor league players to be represented? For there to be some rights for these guys. Like, I spent a lot of time in the minor leagues. I was in the minor leagues from 2005 till basically the end of 2011, and then parts of 12, 13, 14 was my only year that I didn't see the minor leagues at all. 15, 16, 17, 18. Like, I spent parts of all but 1 year of my career in the minor leagues. It's really disgusting the way that minor leaguers have been treated for a really long time. And it's really nice to see that things can finally and might finally get turned around. You've seen some single organizations here and there randomly do some good things and treat their players a little better, pay them a little bit more than they have to. When I first got drafted, I know this is a long time ago, 2005. My first 2.5 months of professional baseball, I made $800 a month. A month. Try to do anything on $800 a month. Like, even in 2005, I get it, it's 2023, money's stupid. Like, try to do anything on $800 a month. And that's like, you're supposed to go in the off season and then work out and be ready for the next year.
And you cover all your expenses, right? Like, it's not even like it was how it is now turning to be with a lot of teams, if not all teams, where finally they don't have to pay for like their housing, right? Like certain things like that. I mean, I can only imagine what it was.
We had host families, but you had to pay the host family.
Yes.
We literally had a first host family, or it's not even a family. It was some lady like who had a kid. She housed 3 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment. The 3 of us slept in one room together. One of us slept in a plastic race car bed, like the Little Tykes race car bed.
I believe it.
I'm not kidding.
Was it you?
That was my introduction to professional baseball.
That's fucking crazy.
No, that was Mike Madsen. He was a pitcher. He was about 5'10", maybe 150 pounds soaking wet. He was phenomenal, by the way. Kid out of Ohio State. Go look at his numbers that year. He had like a 1.5, stupid numbers.
It was because of the race car bed.
Yes, it was because of the race car bed. We're in this apartment. She had a dog. Dog wasn't spayed. So there's period blood like on the pillow that you're sleeping on. Like, not kidding. Then it poops in the house one night. I don't even remember. She put paper over it.
No.
and then left it there.
No.
And was like, oh, I've got the cleaners coming in 3 days. They'll get it.
How old was this woman?
I don't remember. Like older. I don't remember.
How would you just be like, just toss some damn
It
paper
was
towel?
not sanitary, like living conditions at all. We ended up getting moved out of there. We moved into with a different family. It was they were awesome. But like that's the kind of stuff that you run into in the minor leagues, and that's not like a 1 in a million. That's
all
pretty familiar. Yeah, like I'm so happy that these guys have representation and that they're hopefully in some semblance going to get taken care of. I remember when some of this stuff was going on, back in, when was the last one? 20? Was it 2020, 2021, whatever year it was. I was texting with some of the guys on the executive board, on some of the other boards. I was like, can we please slip in the minor leaguers? Can we please try to figure this out? And they all said the same thing. It's like, it's not on the table. Like there's nothing we can do about it. If we bring it up, the owners just literally say non-starter, sorry, go home. There was nothing that the Players Association could do. But I think after the suits that we've seen in California and elsewhere with minor leaguers suing the owners and commissioner's office, finally they had to submit to it, and yay.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's nuts. I mean, it is what it is now, but I'm excited for the players going forward, obviously, that will have a chance to be able to take advantage by having this type of protection through the CBA. But for, it's always one of those things you think about. And that goes with every sport and every rule change over time, right? Like, how different could this have impacted a guy's career by just having, an average living space, being able to get a certain amount of money just to handle normal nutrition. I mean, it's insane to me that, especially varying on the sport where you have guys, you're just eating PB&Js every day, if you're lucky, versus other guys are able to get their gourmet meals, especially, anyone that's in football or, college basketball, for example, before you actually get to the pros. These guys are getting treated like kings if you're in D1, right? Everything's handed your way in that sense. So it's definitely an interesting thought process, but as you said, it was long overdue, and it's about damn time that happened. So I'm excited to see what's going to come of it more than anything. How much of a stand are players in the minors going to have now, and how is this going to implicate things for the process of player development going forward? It's definitely going to be something interesting to watch. But Joe, do you have any final remarks before we get out of here?
No, that's it. I'm just happy it
Joe
finally
looks tired. Joe looks like he's ready to go.
Yeah, we're all.
I know. I shouldn't be tired. I'm the one out. No, it's 7 o'clock by me. It's 10 o'clock by you guys.
And I have to go on a work call right as we end this thing. So the night's still young here on the East Coast. But with that being said, guys, that is going to wrap up the show. We appreciate you all so much for watching here on YouTube on the WardyNYM YouTube channel. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe on. People on replay, let us know your thoughts down below in the comments. What is your predictions, your overall guesses and takeaways for this upcoming 2023 Metropolitan season? Stay tuned. First post-game show of the year will be coming at you tomorrow directly after the conclusion of Game 1, Mad Max versus Sandy Alcantara, however you want to say his last name. We'll be covering it all. Very excited to get into that. And again, thank you guys all so much for the support. Stay tuned. We'll have podcasts again after every single series this season, recapping the previous series, previewing the upcoming one. We have a lot of fun and exciting things in store, so make sure you're following around all season. And Luis, thank you so much for the donation going to Miami for my birthday, he says, to root for our Mets. Also, with my prediction of you guys with Corbin, my prediction is Woodruff gets traded to the Mets. Now that is a prediction that I can jump on. Granted, I don't see why it would work right now, but, we'll find out as we get closer to the trade deadline. So, Luis, appreciate that donation. Thank you guys all so much for watching. We'll talk to you again real soon. Let's go.
Try to keep the next episodes a little shorter.
Yeah, I mean, we're an hour and a half in this one, but